Hi everyone, I wanted to make this video to discuss some of the top USCIS immigration interview tips. And so I know that if you're going through the immigration process, for most couples, the interview is the part that you're most nervous about. And so this video will help you to hone in on some of the most important tips and most important things to be prepared for during your interview. So if this is of interest to you, you'll definitely want to stay tuned. Before I dive in though to that topic of USCIS immigration interviews, I'd like to introduce myself and my firm. My name's Attorney Megan Pastrana from Corrado Pastrana, the immigration firm for couples, and our firm is dedicated to assisting couples navigate the immigration process from adjustment of status and consular processing to fiancé visas, removal of conditions, and naturalization. We know how important it is for you to have up-to-date information as it's related to immigration in the world of couples. And so we regularly update our YouTube channel. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so now so you can receive all of the videos that we post on our channel. Also, we have a Facebook group, Immigration for Couples. The link is listed below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube will share it with other individuals who can benefit from the information. So let's dive in. Immigration interviews, top tips. So as I mentioned, I know for most individuals, most couples going through the immigration process, the interview is probably something you're very nervous about and have been thinking about since the beginning. So I want to clarify that this video is primarily applicable to applications or individuals who are applying for adjustment of status, which is a process here in the United States. But a lot of the information is also helpful if you're going through a U.S. Embassy or consular interview, but I did want to clarify that this video is specifically related to USCIS interviews that happen here in the United States for adjustment of status, specifically couples who are going through the adjustment of status process. All right, so let's jump into what are some of the main tips that you should know for your interview. Tip number one is, first and foremost, is you'll want to be as prepared as possible. Immigration will send you an interview notice with a list of documents that you need to bring. Frequently, there's other documents in addition to that that you'll need to bring, but make sure you have everything on that list for sure. Specifically your passport, your recent tax returns, your birth certificate, your certified marriage license, among others. And then also updated relationship evidence. So being prepared and bringing all of your documents to your interview is really important because if you don't bring something on the list, the immigration officer can either reschedule your interview or you can be sent a notice, a request for more evidence, and it can definitely cause delays in your case. So being prepared is tip number one with all of the documents you need to bring. If you already have an immigration attorney, your attorney can assist you with making sure you have everything you need for your interview. Alternatively, if you don't have an attorney and you're looking for assistance, our firm would be happy to help you to review your application and make sure you have everything in order to take to the interview. But a good rule of thumb is to follow the instructions on your interview notice to bring everything in that interview notice and then some additional relationship evidence. So tip number two would be making sure that if you don't know an answer to a question, don't guess. So that's huge. If you don't know the answer, don't guess. I know that when you're on the hot seat and you're being asked questions, you might get nervous and you can completely draw a blank, and it's always better to not guess. I like to give clients the example that if they ask your address 2 years ago, and you can't remember the street number, but you remember the street name. So, you know, whatever the road would happen to be, Orange Boulevard, but you can't remember the number of the street. You can say it was 2 years ago. I know it was Orange Boulevard, but I can't remember the exact number of the street. Of course, you should definitely be prepared ahead of time and make sure you know all that information so you don't get thrown off. But if you don't know, don't guess. That's always huge because if you guess and you just or make up something or just pull something out of the air, that could cause issues with your immigration application. The officer might think that you're trying to misrepresent something or that you're trying to lie. So tip number 2, if you don't know, don't guess, and be honest about what information you do know. Tip number 3, part of your interview, there's going to be a lot of questions, a long list of yes or no questions. And so it's always best that if an officer asks you a question, if you can answer with yes or no, then be respectful and answer just yes or no. You might feel compelled to go into even more details, but if the officer is just asking you a yes or no question, it's best to just answer yes or no. It'll keep things more clear for not only for you, but for the officer, and make the process go smoother if you answer the question that you're asked without going into a whole lot more detail. Another important point would be, it seems obvious, but we always like to prepare clients for this. Another important tip would be treat this interview as something very important. I am sure that all of you are going to treat this interview as something important, but know that this is a very formal setting. It's very important to be respectful and courteous and listen to the officer, and treat it as a job interview. Treat it as something important, because it is. And I have faith that all of you will do that. But I know that when couples are put on the hot seat and you're being asked a lot of personal questions, sometimes it can get uncomfortable and it might feel a little frustrating, but know that it's part of the process. You're applying for this immigration benefit, and it's the job of the officers to make sure you have a real relationship. So make sure you're answering their questions in a kind and courteous and respectful manner. Another tip would be, if you don't understand a question that the officer is asking you, a lot of times the forms and the words that the immigration officers use, they use a lot of what's called legal jargon, a lot of legal words. And so if you don't happen to understand one of the words or what the question is, or maybe if the officer mumbles and you didn't hear the question, don't be afraid to ask for clarification. I'm not sure if I heard what you said, officer, or what exactly does that mean, officer? I'm not clear on that. It's really good to make sure, it's very important to make sure you understand the question before you ask, because you don't want to cause more issues by answering a question and not really hearing or not understanding it, because it'll prevent you from being able to answer accurately and honestly. So that's another important tip. And then another important tip that we recommend all couples be prepared before your interview with questions about your relationship. At the end of the day, we know you know each other, but it's good to make sure you're on the same page about where you both agree was your first date. You might have had a few first dates and one of you remembers it being different than another date, or they might have kind of blended together. And so it's good to be on the same page about significant dates. Your last vacation together and things like that. We do have a whole separate video on our YouTube channel of common interview questions, so the best thing to do would be check that out to help you prepare for your interview. So those are some of the main USCIS marriage interview tips that you should follow on the day of your interview. And again, if you are just starting out on your immigration journey, or even if you've already begun your immigration journey and you're needing assistance, our team of attorneys, we would love to help you. And our link to book an appointment is below. So again, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube can share it with others who can benefit from this information. And we hope to maybe see you in a consultation. Have a great day.